What's good, Raider Nation? I hope you're sitting down because what I'm about to tell you is gonna shake everything you thought you knew about this 2025 season. We've got 3 stories brewing in Henderson that could completely redefine what it means to wear the silver and black. And if you bleed silver and black like I do, smash that subscribe button, hit that like, and drop your takes in the comments. Let's show the NFL that Raider Nation dominates the internet too. Today we're diving into 3 developments sending shockwaves through the Raiders facility. First, a veteran quarterback who's been absolutely lighting up practice in ways that have coaches doing double takes. Then there's a rookie sensation already being compared to the most humble yet dominant forces this organization has ever seen. And finally, this is where things get really interesting. There's a young player quietly making moves that could flip the entire defensive script of this franchise. If you think you've heard it all about this Raiders team, think again. Because what's happening inside Henderson right now could rewrite the narrative of not just this season, but the entire trajectory of this franchise. So buckle up, Raider Nation. This story starts with precision, evolves into power, and ends with a revelation that's going to leave you questioning everything. The Henderson sun was beating down mercilessly, but inside the Raiders facility, something cool and calculated was taking place. Geno Smith wasn't just running plays, he was conducting a symphony. Every throw had purpose beyond completion percentages. Every read looked rehearsed 1,000 times, even though Smith had only been in silver and black for months. What caught everyone's attention wasn't just accuracy, it was timing. Smith seemed to anticipate exactly where receivers would be before they knew it themselves. Jacoby Myers would break from his route and the ball would already be sailing toward where his hands would be waiting. Trey Tucker would make his cut and Smith's release was so perfectly timed it looked like telepathic connection. The chemistry is just different, one veteran offensive lineman said after a particularly impressive series. It's like he's been here forever, but also like he's seeing things the rest of us haven't figured out yet. This wasn't typical getting to know you phase quarterbacks experience joining new systems. This was refined, instinctive. Smith's ball placement was surgical, not just accurate, but placed with precision that turned routine catches into yards after contact opportunities. His deep balls dropped into receivers' hands like GPS guided, and short to intermediate throws hit with velocity and placement that made routine completions look effortless. Pete Carroll was having extended conversations with Smith after impressive series. These weren't corrections. They were strategic exchanges between coaches and quarterbacks thinking several steps ahead. Smith's leadership presence, how he commanded the huddle, seemed to elevate everyone around him. The offensive line was responding too. Protection schemes that looked shaky in previous seasons were clicking. Smith's quick release and ability to feel pressure before it arrived made everyone's job easier. His intelligent pocket management gave plays extra seconds to develop, turning potential sacks into downfield completions. And the intangibles, how Smith celebrated teammates' successes, communicated with receivers who ran incorrect routes, made everyone more confident. This wasn't just quarterbacking, this was pure leadership. As practice sessions continued, improvement wasn't just noticeable, it was dramatic. Completion percentages that would be considered good in games were becoming routine in practice. Complex route combinations typically taking weeks to master were being executed with playoff team timing. But just when it seemed like this quarterback precision was the biggest story of camp, something else was brewing in Henderson. Another story was beginning to rise that would capture attention in an entirely different way. And trust me, you're not ready for what comes next. The conversation shifted the moment Ashton Jeanty touched the football. All that precision and veteran leadership suddenly took a back seat to something more primal, more explosive. While Smith orchestrated the passing game with surgical precision, Jeanty was reminding everyone why running backs can still be championship heartbeats. This wasn't just replacing Josh Jacobs, this was evolution. Jeanty brought different backfield energy, a power and vision combination that had coaches scrambling to adjust offensive concepts. His Boise State numbers, 2,601 rushing yards, 29 touchdowns, were eye-popping, but Henderson was translating those into NFL reality. First thing catching attention was his patience. While college highlights showed Jeanty bouncing everything outside or outrunning angles, his professional approach was more nuanced. He read blocks, set-up defenders, showed field vision, typically taking years to develop. His cuts weren't flashy. They were efficient, purposeful, designed to maximize every offensive line opportunity. But when opportunities presented themselves, the explosion was undeniable. Ginty's acceleration through open gaps generated velocity, making veteran defenders take notice. His plant-and-go ability, transitioning from patient reading to violent running, created problems for defensive coordinators, accounting for both power and speed. What really separated Ginty was receiving ability. This wasn't just a runner catching dump-offs. This was a legitimate receiving threat who could line up in slot, run routes from backfield, create linebacker mismatches, unprepared for his size-speed combination. His hands were sure, route running precise, ability to find coverage soft spots, already creating defensive coordinator problems. Max Crosby's comparison of Ginty to Brock Bowers and Geno Smith wasn't just about talent. It was about character the humble professionalism championship teams are built around. Despite Boise State's success, unanimous All-American honors, prestigious award collections, no arrogance or entitlement existed. Instead, teammates saw a player approaching every drill, rep, meeting with same intensity and focus. Film session questions were thoughtful, coach interactions respectful but engaged, offensive player relationships already showing chemistry most rookies need months developing. The running game concepts were expanding. Ginty's versatility allowed coaching staff implementing more complex schemes, using motion and misdirection previously impossible with other personnel. His zone concept reading, gap scheme identification, inside and outside zone execution gave the offense multiple dimensions. As camp progressed, Ginty wasn't just going to contribute, he was becoming a focal point. The offense was being built around his abilities, his rapid development exceeding even optimistic projections. His college production, professional approach, elite physical tools combination was creating possibilities that hadn't existed in previous seasons. But as the locker room buzzed with offensive explosion excitement, as coaches and players marveled at Smith-Ginty chemistry, another presence, quieter, more focused, was preparing to make his own statement. Someone not generating headlines yet, but whose development was about to flip the entire defensive narrative on its head. Defense operates differently than offense. While offensive players get attention, quarterbacks and running backs dominate highlights. Defense is about subtlety, doing your job so well, opposing offenses can't function. And in that quiet, methodical defensive excellence world, something extraordinary was taking place. Darian Porter arrived in Las Vegas as a third-round pick with an interesting backstory. A converted wide receiver with only one Iowa State cornerback starting season. On paper, he was developmental. Someone who might contribute eventually, but probably needed adjustment time to professional football speed and complexity. But Pete Carroll saw something else entirely. The same coach who transformed Rick Woolen from raw prospect into Seattle shutdown corner was seeing similar Porter traits. Size, athleticism, instinctive route concept, understanding from playing receiver. All tools were there, waiting refinement and unleashing. Practice happenings exceeded everyone's expectations. Porter wasn't just competing for playing time, he was earning it. His coverage skills translated to professional level with speed and effectiveness catching entire coaching staff attention. His receiver mirroring ability, break anticipation, route concept reaction showed natural instinct that can be taught. The receiver to cornerback conversion actually worked in his favor. Porter understood route timing, knew how receivers thought, could anticipate breaks and combinations in ways purely defensive players sometimes struggled with. His Iowa State year refined these skills, teaching him defensive receiver knowledge usage. But his foundation gave him advantages traditional cornerbacks didn't possess. His college statistics were impressive, allowing just 9.4% completion rate, a microscopic 4.7 passer rating when targeted. But those numbers translated to professional practice with remarkable consistency. Veteran receivers who challenged defensive backs for years found Porter surprisingly difficult, separating from surprisingly physical in coverage, surprisingly instinctive in reactions. Pete Carroll's influence was obvious in Porter's development. The veteran coach's defensive back experience, athletic potential maximization understanding, technique teaching while allowing natural instinct flourishing. all applied to Porter's rapid development. Similarities to Carroll's Seattle Woolen accomplishments were becoming impossible to ignore. Porter's impact went beyond individual coverage ability. His presence allowed defense being more aggressive in other areas. Safeties could focus more on run support and pass rush, knowing Porter could handle coverage responsibilities. Linebackers could be more aggressive in blitz packages, knowing back-end coverage was secure. As training camp's first week concluded, Porter's emergence was becoming camp's most significant storyline. A third-round pick expected to develop slowly was instead forcing his way into starting conversations. His athletic ability, football intelligence, rapid development combination was creating coaching staff unanticipated possibilities. And that player, that quiet force developing in shadows while Smith orchestrated offense and Ginty dominated backfield, was the one no one expected to dominate headlines. But now, as defensive puzzle pieces came together, as Porter's emergence became impossible to ignore, he was becoming the player everyone couldn't stop talking about. The beauty of Porter's development wasn't just individual, it was systemic. His emergence allowed entire defense evolution. Being more aggressive, taking more chances, knowing coverage behind them, was increasingly reliable. His presence changed how coaches could call games, design pressure packages, attack opposing offenses. So the question isn't whether this Raiders team can make noise in 2025, it's whether the AFC West is ready for what's coming. A veteran quarterback mastering the system faster than expected, a rookie running back already compared to franchise legends, and a defensive back whose emergence is redefining what this defense can accomplish. If this fired you up, don't forget to like, comment your boldest take, and subscribe. Cause this story is just getting started. Raider Nation is rising, and these three players are leading the charge.